Intuitive messages. How do you know the difference if it's something that your mind made up or if it's truly coming in from your intuition? Today, I'm talking about how to recognize your intuitive messages. Stay tuned. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeil. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. Before we officially get into this podcast all about how to recognize your intuitive messages, I would love it if you would give me a review. And if you found value, a 5-star review at that. This helps other people find the podcast. And in return, we are doing a giveaway. You can find out how to rate and review and participate in the giveaway over at messengerofspirit.com/podcast review. Here's what we're getting into today. Have you ever wondered if what you saw was real or maybe what you heard even? I understand that. Maybe you're wondering if that feeling you got was your fear or was it your spirit guides telling you no? How about your body? Have you ever used that as your intuitive compass? Okay, here's the skinny. So your intuition is going to look different than your friends, than mine, than whoever's sitting next to you. And so it's going to be really important that you learn your intuitive language. So if you haven't already, make sure to listen to episode 1 of this podcast. You can always take our intuitive languages quiz too. Recognizing your intuitive messages is going to be easier when you have developed your understanding of how it does come in for you. So one of the things that I definitely recommend is that you create consistency in practicing intuitive development exercises and talking to your spirit guides. So in episode 8, I talk about meeting with your guides. During that time, it's going to be really helpful for you to listen to what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure you're on the same page with me, but now let's get into how do you really recognize it after you've done all that? It's easier to recognize your intuitive messages when I've said you've got that consistency because you're going to start to recognize that energetic signature. So for instance, if you are a seer and you see spirit, it's going to be easier for you to understand when it's an intuitive seeing or when it is your imagination. It has a different energy signature is what I call it. If you're a feeler, you're an empath, you will feel things and you'll know when it is your feeling versus intuitive. If you are an owl and you hear things, you'll know if it's coming in from your intuition or from your own thoughts. And if you are a channeler, you're going to know based on your body and how your body reacts, right? The best way to receive your intuitive messages and start to recognize them is to allow yourself to be in a relaxed state. So if you are on the go and you're like, yes, 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 or you're really nervous about something, or you're really anxious about what to do. This happens a lot when we need to make decisions. Oh my gosh, I got to make this decision. I don't know what to do. What's going to happen? When we're in this state where our bodies are kind of clenched, like even if you think you're not clenched, maybe you are, like you can just feel like your muscles are stiffer. Or even if your body is relaxed, but your mind is racing like around on a hamster wheel, that's not going to be in the best place to actually receive and recognize. So allowing yourself to come to a place to relax as best as possible, that is going to help you actually recognize your messages. Another thing that you can do is if you're able to be in a place where you can remove the light. Just allow yourself to remove all of the the things kind of bombarding your awareness, like too much, right? Sometimes we've got like music going, we hear people in the house, and we're seeing this bright light that comes into our room. That's a lot of distraction. So allowing yourself to take away those distractions or those triggers can be really helpful for you to recognize your intuitive messages. And I get it. You're like, yeah, Whitney, but it's not so easy when I need a decision made. Chop, chop, let's go. Your answers normally come when you are relaxed and not thinking about it. So, the first thing I want you to do is to stop thinking about it as best you can. And how do you do that? You can take your butt on a walk if you want to. You can clean the house. You can cook in the kitchen. Just allowing yourself to be active if you find that you can't turn off that go, go, go. Is going to be really important for you to stop, stop, stop and redirect it. So, a lot of times just sitting there, talking to spirit, allowing your mind to completely be clear or listening to meditation isn't going to work if you're in that state. It's like that kind of like that flight or fight kind of state. You need to redirect it. So the best way to redirect it is using the body and expending that extra energy. So whether it's exercise, whether it's cleaning, whether it's cooking, whether it's even painting, engage in some activity that's almost kind of like mind numbing. Your body is moving, but it doesn't require a lot of effort to think. This can also be breath work. You're moving your body, and the only thing you're thinking about is breathing in and breathing out. And literally, your mind can't think of anything else because you're breathing in and you're breathing out. And you're so engaged in this repetitive task that is how your intuitive messages come in. So redirect your energy if you can't just quiet the mind. Okay. So that is a tip of how to recognize. I'm trying to get you in that state, right? This place of receiving is where we need to be in. And when we're in this place of receiving, we receive our intuitive messages, but we also are opening up ourselves for abundance to come in. We're opening ourselves up for clients to come in, for inspiration of starting your business or to offer a different product to come in. This all ties into your purpose, and also it ties into those hunches, those feelings, those nudges that your spirit guides are presenting with you and presenting to you for your next alignment and your next step as you're moving forward and living your purpose in abundance through your business. All right, you recognize your state, right? That's the first thing. And you want to kind of tune into your receiving state. So find something that helps you into that receiving state. If you worked a really hard day or you feel like all of your creative energy is spent, I know that especially if you have your own business, you can create. Or if you are just having one of those days where you're just like, I'm exhausted, that's actually a great state to receive. So right after that, even if you feel like you can't do anything, you can just lay on your bed, talk to your spirit guides with your intuitive thought for the intention they pick up on that inner reading voice, and just let yourself receive. That's a great time to do it. Okay. So once that is in place, a lot of time we've got to remove expectation. Expectation is like, it shall come in a bright purple ball. Or I know my symbol for a yes, it will appear as a yes, or I'll feel it strongly in my gut. No, let's remove those expectations. That's the ego talking. A lot of times we want to get a boom, like, boom, here's the message. And truly, we can, but spirit sends messages and they are a lighter vibration. They do not have a body, right? We do. And so we are doing our best to receive, and it can come in very subtly. Like, here's your answer, boop. And we're like, that couldn't have been the answer. My answer was supposed to feel like, the sound of God's voice coming in to talk to me. Now, I'm not talking about any kind of religion here, but that's just an example. Like some kind of boom, here it is. Doesn't always come in that way. In fact, If it's really important and they need to give you a message really quickly, they will give it to you most likely in a boom. But if you are actively conversing with your guides, it's going to be much more in a softer way until you develop more of the understanding of the energetic imprint behind it is. So let's drop our expectation of what it is supposed to look like. All right, when we come back from the break, I'm going to give specific examples of recognizing those intuitive messages that I know you have had, whether you knew they were there or not. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerofspirit.com/free class. As a professional psychic medium, I've done tens of thousands of readings, but I felt a call to move more fully into teaching intuition. But I still get so many requests about doing readings. So while I don't do readings anymore, I have brought in some very trusted colleagues who are now available for live 1-hour readings on Zoom. If you would like to book your psychic medium reading, go to messengerofspirit.com/appointments to see our available readers and schedule your Zoom reading today. Thank you for listening and hanging around. So, I'm going to be giving some specific examples about what it's like to recognize an intuitive message. And I'm going to do this in the place of relaxation and when you need to know a message like ASAP. Because when you usually need to know a message like as soon as possible, or you have to make a decision, it doesn't always give you that grace of, okay, go over to your bed and lay down and, clear your mind. Like we don't always have that. We can't necessarily function like that. So let me tell you some of the ways that it comes in. So I encourage you to get to know your intuitive language, but let's talk about if you see spirit. If you see spirit and you are a seer, according to my 4 intuitive languages, it can come in many different ways, shapes, and forms. So when we are seeing, we can see a color, we can see a face, we can see a symbol, we can see the word, and that's fine and well. However, how do we know this is a message and how do we not know? So one of the things that I say is write all of your messages down so you can be validated later. I also, in my program, Intuition Abundance Academy, have Zoom play days where we get together live on Zoom and students will do these intuitive development exercises together so they can get validation. So do what you can to get that validation to trust your message. Because if you just see something kind of crazy, you're going to be like, oh, I'm just making that up. But on that note, when you are seeing spirit, a lot of the times we assume that what's going to come in is going to be so logical and is going to make so much sense. And in fact, that is not the case normally. So for an example, if you are meditating and you are asking for clarity, let's say on, what month should I launch my business? What month should I launch my product? You might see a clock and you might see hands on the clock. So it's pointing to a time and you're like, WTF, like, what's that? You take a few moments and you just keep your mind clear. And then you'll start to understand that, let's say it's 11 o'clock. That can be November. Maybe it's pointing to 11/15, November 15th, for instance. So spirit gives you this symbol. And one of the ways to recognize this, if it's an intuitive message or not, Oftentimes, the more abstract it is, the more intuitive it is. If you think, there's no way, like, this is like a message, it's probably a message. So, one, I want you to create consistency and do intuitive exercises on the regular. So, I encourage all my students and my program to do that so that you can understand it. I want you to carve out time so that you are only doing intuitive exercises during that time and you start to develop that intuitive muscle. But when it comes in, allow it to come in the way it needs to come in. So it's like the more abstract, the more likely it is a message. Now, it can make total sense, but oftentimes we get pieces. We just get pieces of the message instead of this eloquent sentence that just we think is going to happen. It might come in like something like Thanksgiving. So maybe you're seeing yourself eating around a table with people and you're like, I asked when I should launch this product. And Spirit's like, yeah, around Thanksgiving. Here you go. Like, this is the image that I gave you. So understanding what that is. So if you find yourself going, that is not it, like that is completely made up, that is probably an intuitive message. But it comes in with color. It comes in with these different things. Let's say that you asked that question and you got a color and you got the color purple. Take a few moments and ask and say, can you give me some more clarity of what that is? So perhaps that purple then turns into the branding of your offer. And then as you are doing that, you then see if it's cold outside. Like your picture will shift and your picture will change when it comes in. So you might see something and allow for it to morph into something else. So you might see a symbol, a color, allow it to change, just like when you're watching a movie, the scenes change. That's going to be really helpful to identify and to recognize this is an intuitive message. Now, if you are in a high stress space or you need to know as soon as possible what's going on, you can ask your spirit guides to show you a sign or to show you a symbol. And when that happens, you may see literally with your eyes open, you might see a light that comes across, like a flash of light. You might see a butterfly come up or a bird come up. Maybe you see number patterns like 1111 or 111, 222, maybe it's 2222, 444, and so on. Knowing that I am literally seeing in the moment a symbol. It's like I'm asking and then I am getting. That's going to be key to knowing this is an intuitive message instead of wondering and waiting and trying to look at something. So, for instance, when I just look down at my phone and I see it's 222, I know that's a message. Versus if I'm like, I'm waiting for that symbol, I'm waiting for it, and I'm constantly checking my phone, that's not going to be a message. So, what happens is Spirit inspires you to look at your computer, to look at your phone, to go to the restaurant. And when you get the receipt, your order number is 444. They inspire you to do that. And they're saying, hey, we're here. Now, I have done this on the road where I've been really nervous about something or asking for a sign, and I need to make a decision really soon. And I'll see the license plate 777. And I know that's coming in. Or I literally have asked for a sign. I remember I was talking to my husband and I was saying, gosh, we've been arguing a lot lately. And he said, this thing with the twin flames, if the twin flame thing is true, if you don't know about twin flames, there's lots of info out there. But basically, it's one of the hardest relationships to have because you're constantly kind of melding yourself into a better person through lessons. And as soon as I look over, literally, there is a car on the road, and we're riding together, that says twin flame. And we're like, oh, I guess that's a confirmation. So that would be a way that you could recognize your sign through literal signs or through colors or symbols or messengers in that way. When you are actively developing your intuition, you will recognize your signs more so by consistency and the energetic imprint that it comes in. And also, the more it doesn't make sense, probably the more it's an intuitive message. Okay, so if you are an owl from my four intuitive languages, that means that you hear your messages predominantly. You can have any of these intuitive languages, but I'm going to hone in on this for a minute. If you have been asking your guides for answers, or you're wondering if what's coming in is intuitive or not, it's going to come in through your inner reading voice. So if you're wondering, how do I know that this was intuitive? How do I know I didn't make it up? Because the message that comes in so fast, there is no way in the world that you could have produced that thought so fast. Normally, what happens is when you are asking a question that you want to know the answer to, you'll be saying, when should I? And then you get the answer like, there's your answer. I've had that happen many times to me where I am trying to pose my question to my spirit guides, doing my little meetings, and then my answer comes in faster than I have even gotten the thought out. Why does this happen? It happens because your thoughts and your vibration and your energy come out before your brain can process it. So it's already into your spiritual world and your field, your mental field, your emotional field before you can actually get it out of the body field. And you get the answer right then and there. So that's a really easy way to recognize if it's an intuitive message or not. So if it comes in so super fast, then that means it's an intuitive message. Now, if you are in that high stress situation and you're like, I don't know what an intuitive message is or isn't, when you ask for a sign, there's a couple ways that it can come in. You could literally hear with your physical body someone talking. This could be your spirit guides. I always want to say with a disclaimer, please make sure you get evaluated so that your health is perfect. But sometimes it can sound like you're hearing the answer externally. Sometimes you overhear conversations. So you might overhear a conversation on the television. You might hear it on the radio. You might hear somebody say something that has to do with your situation out in the grocery store. So if you really, really need a message, it usually comes in that way if you're an owl. Now, you could also see a sign with the message right there. That's fine too. But if that is the best way that you pay attention and that you process information, Spirit's going to try to help you by giving you the message through a sound wave. And it can be through a song too. So you might just be like, oh, I feel really distraught. I don't know what to do. And then you turn on the radio or you turn on your playlist and it mixes to a song. Now, I have had my phone literally play songs with no other app on. And I'll look at my husband. I said, did you see this? Because he is in the IT world and he is, I would say, more science minded. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know how that's happened. I'm like, I don't know. Never heard this song before. And you can listen to the lyrics for it. All right. Let's say that you're an empath and you have that as your intuitive language and you feel messages coming in from spirit and you feel all the emotions. Ooh, as an empath, it's going to be really important that you use the aura bubble that I teach in my program. Basically, you're going to push out your energy from your solar plexus and intend that you create a bubble around you. And when you do that, it can really give you clarity on, is this my stuff or is this stuff from someone else? It just gives you a little bit more understanding that you're protected and that you're not just feeling all the feels all the time. Now, if you are in your meetings with your guides and you're in that relaxed, receptive state, you will feel like that gut feeling. Yes, I feel a gut feeling. Or you will feel kind of like, yes, I want to do this. Or nope, I don't. So you might feel kind of icky or kind of excited. You might feel, yes, and I'm happy and joyful, or no, and I'm sad about it. So you'll know if it's a yes or a no. Now, if you're in a high stress situation and you cannot feel those things, Normally, spirit will do a couple things. Spirit will normally kind of tap you or touch you on the body. So, as long as you have said that that's okay to your spirit guides, they might give you this warmth that flows through you or a coolness that flows through you. They might give you I'm going to give you these tingle sensations on your right shoulder or on your left shoulder, depending if that's a yes or a no. And so, what you can do is you can ask your guides, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Could you please give me a yes or no. Yes on the right side, no's on the left side." You can just ask them and they can give you those sensations that way, which makes it a bit easier too. So that's one thing you can do. Now, another thing that's kind of cheating, but it still works in a pinch. If you've got a question that you really want to know the answer to, you can actually take two pieces of paper, write a yes or a no on it, mix it up. So you can fold these little pieces of paper and put your hand over each one, not knowing which one says yes or no, and see which heat or sensation you get. So you can say, I'm going to hold my hand over these pieces of paper, and if I get any kind of sensation or heat or even anything else that comes to mind, then you know that's the one to pick. And when you pick it up, you'll see if it's a yes or no. Okay, so if you're a channeler, normally, what happens when you are receiving messages and you're in that receptive mode, a thought pops into your mind, or you will just have a clear knowing of what's going on, and your body often takes action too. But normally, when we say a clear cognizance and you're receiving messages, there's a couple things that can happen. One is your body can move for a yes or no. So I call this the body pendulum in my Intuition Abundance Academy program. So if you allow yourself to sit and just relax and let your body kind of just, I want to say hang, but let it be a little bit flexible and flow with the energy, you could ask spirit, okay, please show me what a yes is. And then your body will rock one way. Please show me what a no is. And your body rocks a different way. So that is something that can happen with your body specifically. However, when you're nervous or you feel like you're in a stressful situation, your body's going to have a lot of energy already. And you might feel like you are attached to the outcome and you just don't know. So, one of the things that normally happens is your body will become heavy or light. So, if you say, Spirit, I need some assistance here, I just don't know what is the right decision. Your body will usually get really tired or feel very heavy for a no, or feel very light, kind of like, I've got lots of energy. My body feels zestful. So I say feel, but I'm really talking about your body. Like, what are you experiencing in the body? And also, your body will normally just move for what you need to do. So maybe you're like, I know I should take action, but I don't want to. It's usually a no. Any kind of a should that you use is usually like, no, the answer is a no. But maybe you are saying, yeah, I just feel so inspired. I'm so inspired to do XYZ, then that would be a yes. Now, one of the examples I'll give you is when we were on a hike, I wanted to see all the beautiful scenery in Sedona. We are going down this path and my body literally stopped in its tracks, couldn't go forward anymore. And so that was my intuition saying something's down this path, whether it be a wild animal or I was going to trip. I don't know. But I thought, nope, I am turning back around. And it wasn't a feeling. It was I literally can't move my legs forward, but I can move them backwards. So your body generally takes that action. I know that sometimes there are things that we don't want to do, but when you're really aligned with your intuition, you'll know now is the time versus going through the motions. You just know the difference. Okay. One of the things I want to share before we wrap up this episode is there's truly no quick fix. I've given you some shortcuts in those moments where you feel like you need a little extra help. But I get this question a lot. How do I know? Like, how do I really know? Validation is going to be really important. Write it down or do validation exercises. We've got them in the program. Stay tuned to learn how to get in to work with me. Also, know your intuitive language, know which way it comes in for you. And you can find that out by going to messengerofspirit.com/quiz. Tune into the receiving mode to receive your messages. Let go of the expectation of how you think they're going to come in and keep the consistency going so that you are building that intuitive muscle, air quotes with muscle, and understand how it comes in for you. And the more that you do, I promise you that you are going to recognize when it's intuitive and when it is not intuitive, because it takes learning a new language to truly understand. We can talk about it all we want, but until you actually do it and make it a priority, it's not going to happen. Really recognizing your intuition and your messages are so vital to making sure that you're walking in your path and also making decisions for your business to really live your life purpose for your business. This can be knowing what to charge, knowing which clients to work with and which clients not to work with, knowing which offers are going to be something that lights you up and helps others, and which offers are just going through the motions and not really what you want to do. So with that being said, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerofspirit.com, and you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. If you want to continue the conversation, join my free Facebook group at messengerofspirit.com/group. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.